balance sheet and to work on a few of the initiatives we have planned. So first project that we're spinning out and locking down the name is Gold Origin because they're orogenic assets in Yukon and New Brunswick. So essentially, we're doubling the valuation, 2 for 1, wink, wink, play, and essentially it becomes $7 million. The other asset, we just changed name, the press release was out. It's changing name from Stratabound to Lode Gold because it's on the mother lode belt. The NPV on this project is $300 million. And it's on the same mother lode belt that has produced 50 million ounces of gold. It's right by Equinox, which is Ross Beatty's project, on Custom Mountain and Mesquite. And of note, we'll get into that as my technical team take you through the presentation. What I want you to look at and think about is Ross Beatty's project was shut down in 2006, backfill, shut down. They were able to re-permit this and open it up in 2021. And it's a combination of private and public lands, meaning they have to go to county and federal for approval for permit. This project is in Mariposa County, the original gold rush town, and the rock, Mariposa, came from this town. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's not federal land. It's private land, and you only need county approval, and it was never shut down. Never shut down in 1940s. It was suspended due to the War Measure Act. And at that time, it was doing 8 grams per ton. So there's a story here that needs a repositioning and a development. So what we're doing is doing a positioning round, a fundraising. We just flip up because the stock actually was rising back in November from 1.5 cents to 2.5 to 3.5. So when it went to 2.5, we put the stake in the ground to do a positioning round and a raise, a small raise of 1.5 million. And essentially, when we spin up the company, every share that you hear that is in Stratabound becomes a share of the new company. So it's almost a 1-to-1 and a 2-for-1 play. So basically, it's 100% accretion when that happens. It's not exactly a 1-to-1 because right now we're actually 8.3 million. And the new company, including the shell, will probably go out the gate at 7 million. So it depends on what the valuation of the new co would be. So step 1, 1.5 million positioning round. Step 2, we move the assets into a new company. The name we have registered is called Gold Origin, orogenic play. And then Stratabound changes name to Lode Gold, which is, and we'll do a 10-to-1 rollback so that we have a very tight share structure. Now, having said that, even though we have 276 million shares out, we have 57% in 4 pairs of hands, right? Close Capital, Tomlinson Group, Hinden, and then First Majestic. So it's 4 sets of hands. And 2 companies would then be created at 7 million, and we raise another 3 million into the new company. And using a flow-through mechanism, which means we can bump up the use of the dollars by 40%. So that's kind of in a nutshell, and quickly run through of the people. And you'll see that what we want to do is create basically expertise in each functional area of the company so that we are here for success. So Hashim is a finance background, was the CEO of Nova Royalty that just transacted and sold to Nutella. I think some of you here real estate would know Beatty. Ryan Beatty was a big shareholder in Nova Royalty. He put another $15 million into Nutella. So that's done. And he was also formerly Jaguar CFO. And he basically was instrumental in the turnaround of Jaguar. Chad is the Close Capital fund that was until recently owned 35%. He came in when the price was 10 times this price at 20 cents, right? So he's been supporting the company. Jonathan Hill is VP Exploration, credited with various discoveries in Jaguar. So Chad is behind Jaguar as well. And for those of you in mining, Chad's also behind Rubicon, TMAC, Argonaut. So both Chad and Hashim are basically in the sort of turnaround situations they do that. Myself, new to the team. I joined only in September after speaking to Chad for over 6 months. So what I was brought in was to help with the restructuring and spinning out this company. And my background essentially in the last 10 years has been in mining, mergers and acquisition and fundraising, and also the companies I've worked with, I think many of you are familiar with, Skina Resources, Rocks Gold, and Cordova, which is Robert Freeland's company, And then SilverX recently, Noble Resources, Quinton's and Eric Sparks Company, etc. There's quite a few. And then was basically in various continents since 2010. So my background previous to that was actually managing businesses for Fortune 500 in product portfolio management. And so in the operations side of things before switching into the finance thing. Gary is our VP of Administration and Corporate Development. And he basically liaises between the capital markets and the technical team. So Gary, you're online with us. Why don't you say hello and talk about yourself?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good. Hi, my name's Gary. Sorry, I couldn't make it, guys. I'm a geologist by trade, 30 years in the business, in gold, base metals, and diamonds in Canada, the US, and Central Africa. Previously with Sprott Mining, we sold the Jared Canyon gold mine to First Majestic in 2021 for $480 million. And also with Trelawney Mining and Exploration, we sold the Cote deposit to IM Gold for $608 million. I'm just going to mute one of our listeners. Sorry. James, can you mute your microphone, please? And I sit on the board of a couple of juniors, Kirkland Lake Discoveries, Inventus, Argentum Silver, and I've been with the company as a director for the last 3 years and just come on board over the last 2 years as senior VP. I've got my PGO accreditation in Ontario. Happy to be on board.
Thanks, Gary. So Marty is also new to the team on the board. And actually, when I was joining them, it was conditional on Marty coming on as well before I agreed to join the company. So Marty brings with him very good and expert experience in permitting mines, especially in California. He was on the team with Ross Beatty, Equinox Gold, and permitted Castle Mountain in 2021. And remember, I said earlier, in 2006, it was shut down. And yet it was able to get permitted. It's a combination of private and public lands. And so it's an interesting story. So I don't know, Marty, are you online?
I am watching. Thank you, Wendy.
Say a few words about yourself.
I'm really excited to be a part of the team here. What an opportunity the company has to bring this asset online. When you look at maps of this asset back to the 1940s, 1950s, it's quite an operation, and we look forward to bringing it back online. Really excited to be a part of the team. Thank you.
So next here we have Buddy Doy, which is of Amarino fame, and he basically was instrumental in a successful exit to Hochschild for $180 million. It was 2 grams per ton, 3 million ounce deposit. In addition to that, he also has several other successful discoveries. Buddy, a VP of Exploration for the new company, is here. So over to you, Buddy, to talk about yourself.
Thanks, Wendy. Wendy's already described it. Came through Rio Tinto, graduating in Australia. My first drill hole in here in New Guinea went 300 meters at 10 grams, so I got a bit spoiled. And then later on, Rio transferred to Canada, 1993. And 2 years later, we found Doyble, a $20 billion gold deposit. Saw that through mine opening in 2004 and decided to jump out into the junior game. Wendy's already mentioned that I was CEO of a company and focused on Brazil, and it eventually sold to the Hochschilds. I know John, so he showed me this company and told me about the plan to spin out and asked if I could help out. And I really liked the project, so I said yes.
So remember, we have the California asset only in, I believe, 2020, and that was done using issue of paper, no cash, at $11 million valuation. At that time, they inherited a couple of debts. So the representation for the debt holders are Ron and Scott. So Ron believed in the restructuring of the company, and he was a senior secured debt that now just converted to shares. And we also able to persuade the other debt holders to convert, rewrite the debt agreement into also a convertible. So Ron is converted to a shareholder now. He's the second largest shareholder at 25% after Chad at 26%. And the other debt is soon to be, went from straight debt to convertible debt as well. So remember what I said earlier, that just the two assets alone, which is Yukon and New Brunswick, is worth $30 million. So back in 2020, it was $30 million before California was in, and that was only Yukon and New Brunswick. So that's very interesting. Now you can say 2020 high tide, everything was floating. Sure, I'll give you that. So now with the low tide, a lot of assets are down to 1/3 to 2/3 of their value. But as you saw earlier, we're 8 million. So even if we were $10 million, not 20, we're still 20% discount to what it could potentially is. So I'm going to pass this on to Buddy now to share with you the highlights of a couple of assets.
Yeah, we haven't got a lot of time, so these are a good summary slides. So the two assets we're planning to put into a company that we call Gold Origin. One's in New Brunswick and one's in the Yukon. And we have detailed slides down the track, so I'll move on. Maybe do this. There we go. And then there's a nice summary slide of where the Californian asset is. What I really want to point out straight up is infrastructure. All our properties have roads. Yukon doesn't have power, but the other two have power. So that's really important. Makes things a lot easier for exploration.
And if you look at the land size, just on that alone, as a farmland, we're worth more than what the company is right now. Even if this was a farm. 335, 51 acres, California.
Yeah, the private land itself is worth more than the value of the company. So yeah, we get into the details of our properties. So I don't know how many people here have been following Newfoundland Gold, but they've certainly been one of the market darlings. And the idea is that we had Dalridian with 5 million ounces in Ireland, Newfoundland Gold and Marathon in Newfoundland, Galway in New Brunswick, and down in the Carolinas with Oceana Gold. And along that whole belt is about over 28 million ounces and counting, increases every day. It is a couple of thousand kilometers, but the idea is back in the Devonian Silurian, the Iapetus Ocean closed up that dotted line, formed mountains, organic gold. So amazingly, it's only been really recognized because these are really populated areas, but in New Brunswick, it's covered in fill. Didn't outcrop, didn't form alluvial gold, and in Brunswick, they're all distracted looking for VMSs. No one was looking for gold. So we share Suture in New Brunswick with whom?
Yeah.
So you can see there's our ground. It's 17 kilometers long, and we form a hole in the Puma donut. And you can see Puma have done a lot more work than us. We're getting started. But you know, they just recently reported 50 meters at 5.5 grams. We've got very similar style mineralization for what we know on our property. Can't wait to drill it. There's a mag map showing where Puma's getting success on the edge of those mag highs. So showing where there's a fault, and also showing you there's rheological contrast to make a good fault, and probably some chemical contrast to get the gold to drop out. And then onto Yukon. We're on the south end of the Tombstone Belt. Tombstone Belt has got reduced intrusive related gold. It's got organic gold, and it's got Carlin-like gold. It's an amazing belt, just getting recognized. And we're on the really not well understood, just recently, prospective, so there's been lots of staking in the southern end of the belt. And again, the good thing is unique almost in that belt. We have a road, all-weather road right through the property.
So reduced intrusive, for those of you who may not be technically, on this, is that everyone knows who Robert Friedland is, the 2 billion heir, and he actually made his first money not in Boise Bay, but Fort Knox, right? And that's a reduced intrusive. And then also the mines that are in production right now, Victoria Gold, reduced intrusive,
Yeah.
right? And then we also have who else is up there? Snowline, right?
Yeah,
So Snowline's the one that I mentioned that basically went from 200 million to 600 million. And what they had that was different and interesting relative to Fort Knox is that Fort Knox and all these other reduced intrusive is lots of it low grade. But what Snowline is finding, lots of it high grade and low grade. So everyone went gaga over this whole phenomenon.
yeah, so zooming in on our properties, I think you can see our neighbours, Seabridge and Rappler. And you can see our properties there. We drilled 6,000 meters, just under 6,000 meters at Golden Culvert, and we found orogenic gold and some decent intercepts. That needs more work. But our recent news release, if you look up there, you see Stratabound Wind. We recognise that there's a intrusive hosted sheeted vein, reducing intrusive.
It's on the table for all of you that want detailed information about the news release on wind. So we have confirmed reduced intrusive.
So it shows you in the game to having a deposit like Seabridge's Three Aces and the Golden Culvert is orogenic. And we've also got the a very good, well, we've shown that we have a mineralized sheeted vein system hosted in an intrusive.
As opposed to a fly in, fly out, this is a drive-in. That's important in terms of cost of exploration, and we're also permitted for drilling.
You can see the red line there is the road. Oh, it's an all-weather road going to the tungsten mine in the territories. Yeah, so we've gotten out of 93 samples from this Golden Culvert. It averaged 13.3 grams, and the highest assay was 320 grams. We've got lots of geochem anomalies along the property, the other things that haven't never been drill tested. And we got up to, with the drilling, they're only shallow holes, and we got up to 50 gram meter drill intercepts with the drilling. So we need to get back and do that. Only 20% of that property's been explored. And the wind property is new. We barely got on the ground there, and it's
Jerry.
I must have pressed something. Yeah, so we recently put this news release out and helped get our share price up a little bit.
It's good.
I think it's good. And this map just shows you the sheeted veins. They're not hornfels. It's a roof pendant above an intrusion, so they probably go into the intrusion. And you can see that getting up to 8 grams gold, you've got the usual element association you get with these type of deposits, bismuth and the antimony. And we can't wait to get out there and expand that discovery. So yeah, we plan to get moving this year and work on both projects. Both can do with a mag survey, so we can see the geology and the structure. Some trenching and soil sampling, and then get drilling. And yeah, I'll leave it over to Gary to talk about California. My job will be to look after the Canadian assets when we spin out the company.
Gary, do you want to talk about Lode Gold? Do you have control to flip the pages? Gary?
Yeah, lost Gary.
Gary?
1, 2, testing 1, 2.
Yeah, we lost you. Okay.
Yeah,
All
sorry
right.
about that. It must be the Toronto weather. Do you guys see the screen, the company too, Lode Gold right now?
Yes.
Okay, and what you see here should be a substation right under the word California. That's the Bear Valley substation right on our property. We've got the core shack at admin building on the right and Highway 49 that transects the entire property from north to south. Did that slide change?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure I've got the control at this end. So this is a past producer. It's the Fremont Gold project. We acquired it in 2021 from California Gold, as Wendy said, through a share issuance valued at around $11 million. We were at the time $19 million. The Stratabound was. It produced 126,000 ounces from the 1870s to the 1940s. At a very respectable grade of 8 grams per ton. and that came from 500,000 tons of ore. As Wendy stated earlier, all mining in California ended in the 40s because of the War Measures Act, and the project came with 800 meters of underground development. At today's price, that's probably $100 million worth of development at Fremont. So we're located on the Mother Lode Gold Belt. Equinox's Castle Mountain and Mesquite are in Southern California down here. Historically, the Mother Lode has produced 50 million ounces. We've got private land, unlike Mesquite and Castle Mountain, which are partly private and federal land. I stated earlier that the production was suspended, not closed down, so we still have a potential operating permit here. It's something that we're looking into. There's some current producers, as I said. Mesquite and Castle Mountain are heap leach oxide deposits. Sorry, Wendy?
Yeah, with the wide vest.
Okay, zooming in into the project area, 4 kilometers of strike length. The yellow contours are the soil anomalies on surface, which show that there's continuous structural mineralization underneath the subsurface. We've only explored, or I should say the resource that we do have on the project is 3 million ounces, 2 million in the inferred category, 1 in the indicated. And that resource only represents 35% of the strike length of the project. So we know that it's mineralized from the south to the northern part. There's also oxides on surface that didn't make it into the resource and the subsequent PEA that we did in the early 2023. So there's upside potential for additional oxides. And we think the bigger story here is really reframing this as a high grade orogenic deposit. And we think that 8 grams per ton, if you propagate that over the strike length and down at depths, these things really go down at depth as they do in the BTB. You're looking at the potential for a much higher grade, perhaps lower volume of gold, but a higher grade underground scenario here at Fremont. This is just showing a couple of the drill holes that hit structure below the existing resource. We're down to 380 meters, 460 meters. The resource goes down to 350 meters. So we know there's potential for increased mineralization at depth. These ore shoots, as in the Abitibi in Quebec and Ontario, can go down to great depths. There is one drill hole, 1,200 meters, that hit structure at 900 meters. So structure does persist at depth. And this is just a block model showing that drill hole from 2015 that hit mineralization at 917 meters. So this is the longitudinal section of the deposit from the south to the north, from right to left. When we inherited the project, or when we purchased the project from California Gold, it had 1 million ounces in this red area. These are the workings in gray with some drill traces. We expanded that resource to 3 million ounces, and it included the underground at the Pine Tree Josephine, as well as a queen specimen. So there's lots of potential in between. So the stippled red and the stippled blue here is 3 million ounces contained, again, 2 million inferred, 1 million indicated. We think these things really go down at depth. We know there's a couple of mines to the north of us along the Mother Lode Belt that produced at 13 grams per ton. And they were each 1 million ounce producers until they stopped production in the 40s. I'll skip over this one. This is the results of the PEA that we put out in 2023. We just wanted to know, based on those 3 million ounces, what we would have in terms of an open pit scenario. Modest NPV at 300 million Canadian at a 5% discount, with a 21.4% return on investment. At $2,000 gold, where we were at today, we're looking at north of 370 million NPV in US dollars at a 5% discount. In terms of infrastructure, we're 3 hours east of San Francisco. We're on Highway 49 that transects the property. There's power, as I showed in the original slide, for the substation at Bear Valley, right beside the administration building. We've got patented private land. Again, the permitting process is done at the county level, not the state or the federal level. So that's something that we think we can really fast track with the help of our in-house director, Marty. So in terms of what we got at Lode Gold, which actually we now, just as of today, we now renamed our company as Lode Gold Resources. We do have an existing PEA with an open pit scenario, but we're looking at this, developing this conceptual resource model with a higher cutoff grade, chasing what we think is, I guess, the historical 8 gram plus scenario with an underground resource. The PEA did come with its own recommendations for additional trenching and RC drilling to outline the additional oxide that didn't make it into the resource. And there's strike potential on surface. We're looking at diamond drilling to tie in the additional 65% of the strike length that was not part of that resource. In terms of your investment opportunity here with Lode Gold, compelling high-grade target in the mother lode. With your investment in Lode Gold and Stratabound, you get a 2-for-1 with the SpinCo that we're planning with Gold Origin and the Canadian assets. As Buddy said, we're on private land here. We've got excellent infrastructure in all of our assets, year-round access. We're looking at this high-grade opportunity at depths down to 1,800 meters, just like the other deposits there on the Mother Lode Gold Belt.
Thank you, Gary. I think we can flip back onto the first couple pages. So basically what we're doing right now is a positioning round of fundraising at 1.5 million. We have a soft commit hovering around $1 million right now. And essentially what we want to do is the shareholders that will be in the parent company gets 1 share, almost 1 share. Need to put the quotation mark when we spin up the new company, right? And the question then is, how do you create 2 new companies? Well, as you saw in 2020, it was $30 million. And our competition, which is Snowline, Rekla, and all those, are north of this number. Rekla basically was born in April last year, and within a year they became an $18 million company. Kuma spent $12 million and became a $21 million company, right? So the asset in itself, in the right jurisdiction, with the right team, with the right structure and the right business plan, can have that momentum and potential. And of course, some of the projects I worked on, like Skeena and Roxgold, Noble Resources. So Noble Resources basically went from 80 cents to $8, $5 in 14 months. Same with Roxgold, 8 million to 100 million in 14 months. And much of it has to do with what they hit. So whether we will or not, we don't know. I mean, this is mine, but the potential is there. So Jerry, Gemini Group, Kevin over there organized this presentation. Thank you very much. And they are going to be sending out subs agreements and the investor deck as well. So they'll be following up with you.